Are you considering divorce? Are you dealing with it now? Are you on the other side and not sure what comes next? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show with your host, Lisa C. Decker.
Welcome, everyone, to the Divorce Do's and Don'ts Show. I am your host, Lisa C. Decker, and I am a Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, a real estate collaboration specialist in divorce, and a Certified Amicable Divorce Professional. I am also the CEO and founder of DivorceMoneyMatters.com and DivorceTownUSA.com, the sponsor that brings you this show. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've been talking this whole month about March Madness, and as it comes to a close, we want to devote our final episode this month to coaching. And no, we don't mean basketball. We're going to be talking about financial coaching and being fiscally responsible. Today's guest and DivorceTown USA member is Glenn Crawford. Glenn is also a Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, or a CDFA as we're known. He is a mediator, wealth asset manager, and a financial advisor who identifies as a coach in these areas. You're in for a treat. Glenn's a lot of fun. Glenn's a member of the Strategic Divorce Planning Firm, comprised of CDFAs, mediators, analysts, forensic accountants, and CPAs, dedicated to addressing all the financial aspects of divorce. And his personal mission is to provide clarity, comfort, and confidence to people navigating the complexities of divorce and understanding the impact of those decisions on their financial wellness in post-divorce. Welcome to the show today, Glenn. So nice to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me. Welcome to all the people attending today, and we'll be watching this.
Awesome. Well, I want to ask you, how did you find your way into the business of divorce, and what motivates you in your business?
That's a great question. Well, since the playground, Lisa, I have been the captain, the coach, or the leader. I've always been someone that was front and center. And I walked down the road of divorce. I didn't walk in the shoes of the people that are attending and seeing this, but I walked down that road. I know how traumatic, how painful it can be. I didn't even know such a thing as a CDFA existed when I was going through my divorce. I wish I would have had me or someone like me or you when I went through it, because there were some mistakes that were made. So I turned lemons into lemonade and acquired the credential as a CDFA, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, or Divorce Financial Expert in layman's terms, to help people navigate particularly the complexities of understanding marital asset division and really answering the question that everyone asks. I'm sure you get the same question: am I going to be okay? How do I make sense of this? And I learned that attorneys are really not equipped to do that. They're not trained as CDFAs or financial advisors, and a financial advisor is not a CDFA. So they can advise people on what they're entitled to legally, but they don't take into consideration the taxes, the risks, liquidity, and income. So they don't answer the question, what's the impact on my life? And so that's what drove me to it. And what really is rewarding is, because it is difficult when you walk down this road, but at the end, the appreciation and the gratitude that I get from people for helping them understand this and dissect this, makes it really, really rewarding.
It is rewarding work. It's hard sometimes. We try to take the more amicable approach for folks, not just because it's the best thing for them, but it's also the best for us as practitioners. Not all of us like to get mired in the muck of the deep legal aspects of difficult divorces. I know personally, that's why I am a financial neutral. I like working with couples who want to be civilized and respectful and leave the divorce as best they can in an amicable process. So do you have any opinions about people and how they're going through the divorce and how they're being served, and how would you change the process that traditional litigated divorce is done?
Oh, that's another great question. I believe that the divorce market, as it exists today in America, is essentially broken. It's combative, it's confusing, and it's costly. And it really doesn't have to be that way. I mean, when you think about it, it's law, it's set up and they have a petitioner and a respondent. So from the beginning, a lot of times it's an adversarial, type relationship, and it doesn't need to be that way. Really, what it is, in my opinion, Lisa, it's a partnership, and you're dissolving the enterprise, the marital enterprise. And so you're simply looking for an equitable way to do that. I think in order to be prepared for that, just as if you were in a business, you'd want to know how much accounts receivable there is, how much accounts payable, what's in inventory, what's in work in process, what contracts are coming up. And you simply would want to understand all those things before making that decision. And it's really very similar to that, in divorce. And
Yes.
you're right. It can be very hard. And one of the parts of how we coach people is the communication, learning how to communicate in a respectful way, and even throwing in some kindness there, because kindness can go a long way when you're going through this.
Kindness can go a long way in helping the entire world, when they're dealing with difficult matters. So I couldn't agree with you more. There are better ways of going about this, folks, and that's why it's so important that you understand your options and that you pick the right people to help you get through this. Because if you don't, if you go, in many cases, you've probably seen this, Glenn, where people ask for a referral from friends or family of who's used a divorce attorney, and they go to their neighbor's sister's best friend, and they, hire this attorney because their friend used that attorney, but they don't realize that maybe their situation is not like that friend. And in this case, they might have wanted something more amicable, more settlement minded, more peaceful. It can be that way, even in very contentious cases, if you have the right people helping you get through it. But if your friend's attorney is a litigator, likes to have that stage in the courtroom, and that's what they're good at. And in those kind of cases, you want that type of attorney, but they may not be best suited for you if you're looking for the amicable approach. You have to know the questions to ask and the people to get on your team. And stay tuned for the end of this show when I share some resources that'll help you know those questions to ask. So getting back to questions here, I know you've seen a lot and had a lot of experience working with people in divorce. What would you say are some key nuggets you've learned that you would want people to know?
Okay, maybe this is a good time for me to bring up what I call my 5 isms of divorce. My dad was a colonel in the Army. He said, son, there's very few universal truths, but there's a lot of general truths. So I came up with, I believe, are 5 generalisms about divorce that everyone should know. And any question that you have to our guests as you go through divorce, I believe falls into one of these 5 areas, and remind yourself of that. And some of the things I'm going to say seem as plain as the nose on your face, but people still need to hear them. Because sometimes their spouse will say, I'm not giving you any of my pension, or you're not getting any of my Social Security benefits, or a host of other things. And they can say whatever they want, but the laws and the jurisdictions of the state really dictate, what will happen in this process.
Very good.
And you mentioned getting the right professionals. Right professionals, there's well-meaning friends and attorneys that may not be family attorneys. They're well-meaning, but they're not professionals in the industry. And you touched on something as well: the collaborative approach, the amicable approach. You're
Settlement minded overall.
Yep. If you have kids, you're setting an example for your kids, and this is another opportunity to share a lesson with your kids on how you handle a difficult situation. And
I love that.
I'll give you my 5 isms, but I will say also, one of the things I always say: it takes courage to change your life. It takes courage to change your life when you know it's not going to get better. And we're not waving a flag, you and I, Lisa, that people run out and get divorced. but we know that they're being underserved. But if you know your life isn't going right, if your job isn't right, if your marriage isn't right, if you're in an endeavor that you know is not going to go down the right path, it takes courage to change your life. Now, that's not to say it won't be without some pain. It will be with some pain, probably. But at the end, you'll be better off for it. So here are my 5 isms. Number 1, you mentioned having a litigating attorney. Sometimes people say, I want a bulldog. Well, no one takes anybody to cleaners anymore. This is not the age of Zsa Zsa Gabor. All right. No one takes anybody to cleaners. The courts want an equitable resolution to the dissolution of the family enterprise, of which you are a 50% partner in the marital enterprise. You're entitled to 50% of what you acquired during the course of your marriage. You're also responsible for 50% of what you incurred during the course of your marriage. The secret sauce that you and I apply is how do we divide this balance sheet in an equitable way so that both parties get what they're entitled to. And so whether you were the CEO of the home or you were a big time lawyer or super salesperson or some other or business owner, you built your lives together. And that's the marital corporation of which you're a 50% partner. That's number 1. Number 2, everything is negotiable in marriage. Every single thing is negotiable. The date of separation is negotiable. Spousal support is negotiable. Child support is negotiable. All the assets and debts are negotiable. Everything is negotiable. For instance, you can establish a buyout for spousal support rather than being paid a X amount over a certain number of years. You can apply a present value and a discounted rate to that and say, instead of paying me $5,000 every month for the next 10 years, which you probably don't want that paying every month, and I don't want to be calling you if you're 2 days late, why don't we, call it a lump sum and take it out of your share of equity in the home or one of your retirement accounts. Everything is negotiable.
Right. And that's a really helpful tip, by the way, folks, when there's not enough cash flow to go around to pay alimony.
Yeah. And my third point is that you and your soon-to-be ex can agree on whatever you want to agree on, absent a judge, an attorney, or an advisor like Lisa or myself. That means you can relinquish something you're entitled to, and sometimes people do. That means you can fight for something you think you deserve, but we would advise you not to spend $10, to get a $5 reward. But every single thing is negotiable, and you can agree on whatever you want to agree on, as long as one of you hasn't lost their mind. Now, sometimes people espouse that their soon-to-be ex has lost their mind, but they have to be diagnosed as such. Number 4, marital asset division in divorce is essentially final. You can't renegotiate it unless you can prove fraud, which is timely and costly. So if marital asset division is essentially final, it leads me to number 5. You got to get it right. You got one chance to get it right because it'll have tremendous impact on the rest of your life and you don't get a do-over on it.
Oh, that is so powerful and so true. Every word. So, while things may differ a little bit in different jurisdictions across the country, for instance, here in Georgia, we don't have a separation date. Everything is as of the date of divorce. The foundations of what Glenn just shared with you are so incredibly important. So I really hope that you listened to this. And if you're listening to the recording later on, roll that back and listen to it again. We want to make sure that you've got that. Okay, so I know that you mentioned your identity as a coach. And how does that help you do your job? And more importantly, how does it help the people that you see?
Oh, man, I love that question. Well, I am also an advisor. I'm a wealth asset manager. I'm a financial advisor. I'm an insurance agent. I'm all those things, but I don't identify as such. That's a word we use a lot today. And I love it that I'm on this program during March Madness. I'm really a football guy, but I love March Madness and I love sports and the drama of sports and all the teachings that, it gives you. I played sports my whole life. I played in college on an undefeated team back in 1975, 12-0, Arizona State Sun Devils. But I decided that I would I wanted to have my own unique voice. And I said, I'm going to be my authentic self. And what is that? And And that is, as I said, I've been the coach, the captain, or leader since the playground. And that is the role of a coach. I coach youth sports for 10 years running year round. I still coach people in business and in life. I had a large business before I got into financial wellness. I had about 70 direct reports. And I decided to approach it like a coach. That means I don't sell anything. I'm here for one reason only, and that's to help people arrive at a better outcome. And if I can't, just like any coach, to make his players better. And if I can't do that, I can't be your coach. I don't want to be your coach, but I say find someone who can. I feel it's so, so important. And so what it does, it gives me the freedom also to say really whatever I want to say, as long as I believe it to be true. And people can kind of take it or leave it. But I can wake up and know that my intention is to help people arrive at a better outcome. And this coaching, it covers a lot of different skill sets. Sometimes you have to talk a little directly to people, and sometimes you need to build them up. And so I mix in a lot of knowledge aside from the financial knowledge that I have, like forgiving yourself for whatever part you may have played in the circumstance you find yourself in. I believe we all had something to do with that. I know I had something to do with my circumstance. I said some things I wish I hadn't have said. I did some things I wish I hadn't have done. But I can look in the mirror and say I did everything I could do to save my marriage. But once I realized that it wasn't going to get better, I had the courage to do something about it. And so as a coach, and I throw in other things, and maybe if we have time at the end, you'll ask me some of my hacks that help me get through it. But one of the best things people can do is do things that, take care of themselves. So I tell them, listen, when you go through divorce, you're going to have to do some things. You're going to have to make some disclosures, meet some deadlines, make some decisions. But guess what else? You get to do some things. You got a whiteboard, you got a clean slate. You can do things that you subordinated for your, perhaps your spouse and your family. And, I happen to have been around the sun 68 times. I got divorced after I'd been around the sun 60 times, and we're living longer. We're working out more. We're eating better. We're in shape. And even if you only live one more day, because no day is, promised, you deserve to live it, in sunshine. You deserve to live it happy and not in a in a untenable situation.
Beautiful, Glenn. So, I'd love to hear some of those hacks, and, especially a single piece of advice that'll, drop the mic here, leave us with that. So
No
share some
pressure.
of those special hacks that you have.
No pressure. Take care of yourself. Do things to take care of yourself, to settle yourself emotionally. There's 4 pillars to divorce: the financial, the legal, the emotional piece, and what I say is the real estate piece. But do things to take care of yourself. And quick self-care ideas: get a workout, pick up your instrument, pick up a paintbrush. I had a music playlist that helped me steel me for what I was going through. There's just so many different things, write, get together with friends. My magic formula, Lisa, is to take a bath. Mom used to put me in the bathtub with some Epsom salt, and I'm a big believer of drawing a bath, put some salt in there, maybe some bubbles, some nice music or a magazine, because you need rest. Take care of yourself and believe in yourself and look forward. And my mantra that helped me get through that, and I'd like to share with the audience, it's very simple: always forward, forward always. Forward always, always forward, always forward, forward always. Forward always, always forward.
Always.
I love it.
Keep moving, folks. That's my mantra too. I have been through some very difficult times in my life. I've never been divorced. I'm a widow, but I am a granddaughter of divorce, a grandchild, and it shaped my family in such a way that I didn't know half of my family until just a few years ago, when a client came into my life and was a amateur genealogist, and I hesitate saying amateur because she was so great at it. And she found family that I never knew I had. And, when I finally met them at a family reunion of all things, I felt like an adopted child of finding my birth parents, my birth family. But I thought as I stood there, it was a divorce that caused this, right? Such a
Mm.
loss, a whole lifetime. So the keep moving forward, I've been through, and I've shared with my listeners over the years here some of the things that I've been through in the last 10 years, some very serious, traumatic things. But I agree with you. I'm always forward, forward, always, because it's kind of like my mantra, just keep moving forward. You have to keep moving and don't lose that momentum because it can become very easy when you are in the midst of something very traumatic or hurtful or hard to deal with in your life, and it feels so overwhelming to just shut down, to just run away. And you may need to do that for a couple of days at now and then, but you can't stay there. You have to face what's coming, and you have to be the CEO of your divorce, be the CEO of your life. This is your life, the business of your life. So um Glenn,
If
I
I could,
just
if I could say
yes.
one thing is that, and you hit on one of my other magic words, is that I said you're a partner in the marital corporation. And the day you sign your settlement, guess what you're going to be? The CEO, the trustee, and the fiduciary of the Bank of YOU.
Mm,
And I would submit you can absolutely fill that role. You don't have to be an expert in finances or other areas. I believe you just need people who can give you information in digestible bites that you can understand, and you can make decisions about that. So yes,
mhm.
you will absolutely be the CEO.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I liken it to I call it being a proactive partner, not a passive participant, right?
Mm,
You
mm.
you can't just let others make decisions for you. You have to understand what choices are being laid before you, the pros and cons, and not abdicate to just someone saying, this is good for you, take this. You have to understand the reasoning behind it because sometimes it's not the best decision. So getting the right people to help you with those decisions is critical. And I just love the approach that you take, Glenn. And by the way, folks, if you look for Glenn on LinkedIn, he does a Wednesday little video coaching clip that I just enjoy. I go looking for those on Wednesdays now. So look for that. Glenn is on LinkedIn, and tell folks where else they can find you, Glenn, as we wrap up the call here and go into our last segment.
Again, thank you for having me here on the Divorce Towns Do's and Don'ts show. I appreciate it. I'm Glenn Crawford. I'm a CDFA mediator and fiscal fitness coach. My phone number is 818-486-5053. My email is Glenn, GLENN, at strategicdivorceplanning.com. And thank you for the plug on my Wisdom Wednesdays. And, I am on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Well, we're so glad to have had you here today, Glenn. You are always a wealth of knowledge. And of course, Glenn can be found at DivorceTownUSA.com, so you can always find him there. All right. Well, let's talk about a few things that we can help you with here with some free resources that we have for our audience. And I want to share right now what you see on your screen is the DivorceTown USA roadmap, which includes an ebook and explains all of your options that you see here and helps you understand which one is best for you and your family and outlines other professionals and or resources you may need along the way. We also at DivorceTown USA offer many free articles, videos, and other free resources to help you have a saner, savvier, money saving divorce. And at the Divorcetown Marketplace, you can also find some of the best books, products, and resources that we've found through the years to help you through your divorce so you can thrive long after. And we feature various sections, as you can see here, and the marketplace has something for everyone at any stage of the divorce process. DivorceTown USA also sponsors a virtual divorce help and hope support group through meetup.com, which meets once or twice a month via Zoom. And meeting dates and times are always posted in the events section at DivorceTown USA. Now, at Divorce Money Matters, you can download my free divorce financial fitness kit. And I created this to help you get better organized and take more control of your money matters during your divorce. This kit includes an ebook, a working Excel spreadsheet of documents you'll need to gather, and a list of 50 must ask questions for when you're ready to meet with a family law attorney. Now, Glenn talked a little bit about the role of CDFA. Well, actually, a lot, and I'm glad. A CDFA in your divorce. And next week, we kick off National Financial Literacy Month with a special CDFA episode and a panel of DivorceTown USA financial experts to help break down the financial process of divorce into three important segments so that you can choose the right coach for you and thrive long after your divorce is over. And so we hope that you have found this episode of the Divorce Do's and Don'ts show helpful. And we look forward to seeing you all next week and every week as we continue improving the way the world divorces one family at a time.